Good evening, everybody. How are you doing tonight? We are back once again, according to Sacha Podcast, with you on a Thursday night. We come here with you every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with amazing guests. And I have another one for you tonight, and her name is Elizabeth Otis. But before I bring her on, you know what we got to do, right? We got to like, follow, and share. Like, follow, and share all of our platforms. You know, it's scrolling down the bottom. If anybody that's listening, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts. The list goes on. Amazon. Yeah, we're everywhere. Just Google us according to Sacha. That's according to number 2, Sacha Podcast, and it will take you there. Or you can go to my website, www.swimgtgroup.com. And so I don't have a lot of things to talk about tonight or anything before I bring my guest on. I do want to announce that I am published again, you guys. Let me pull this up real quick. I am a part of the Own It anthology. And so I'm one of the many authors in the book, and we are launching the book, and we're also having a nice event down in the Dominican Republic. And so if you want to go and just experience the Own It experience in the book launch with the anthology, and we have speakers and workshops and everything, we're doing it up big, and we're going to be in right outside of Santo Domingo at the Emotions Resort. And that's going to be the end of April. I think it's the 26th through the 30th. And so we're going to be there. I'm going to post more information. You can have the correct dates and all of that good stuff. And so, it's very exciting. 2023 is starting off in an amazing way. If anybody's following me, then you already know that, I've got a lot of stuff going on. So make sure you connect with me. Make sure you stay connected. And let's connect, let's partner, let's collaborate. Let's do some great things to bring impact to the world, to our communities, and more. All right, you guys. So before I bring up my guest tonight, I do have a sponsor, and it is our Own It publishing company. It's Miss Marissa, who is over Own It magazine, Own It anthology. She has a list of all the things, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pull her up real quick, and then right after that, I am going to have Miss Elizabeth Otis with us here tonight, and you're not going to want to miss this. But make sure you engage with us. Make sure you throw in some comments that you're here, ask questions, all those good things. We want our guests to be very comfortable here on this show. And I just want to say thank you for all of your support, and continue to support us and support our guests tonight. So we got one word from our sponsor, and I'll be right back with Elizabeth Otis. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on today, Sacha. It's such a pleasure to be here with everyone.
It's such a pleasure having you here. I know we've been connected. We connected sometime last year, and it has been amazing. And I'm just happy to be able to say that, we did meet virtually, but we are here face to face virtually. So it's a wonderful thing to still see your beautiful presence, same way you are online, the same way right here, right now on this show. And I can't wait till one day to be able to physically meet you live and in person and everything. But thank you so much for being here tonight. And so everybody, I have this wonderful person, this amazing woman, Miss Elizabeth Otis, and I'm bringing her to you guys tonight and just talk about some of the things that she has going on in her life and her world and her business and all that she do to make an impact in the movement that she's doing amongst so many people. And I'm going to let her tell all of that good stuff. But yeah, Elizabeth, definitely tell the people, who is Elizabeth Otis?
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, Sacha. I feel so loved. Thank you.
You're
So,
welcome.
who is Elizabeth Otis, right? Elizabeth Otis, said simply, is the founder of BLIVE, a neuroscientist, and a flow state coach. So, essentially, I'll break all those down in a moment, but the most important thing is the BLIVE movement. The BLIVE movement is a worldwide movement set out to help humanity as a whole first operate internal harmony so that we as a collective, as one unit, can work and live in harmony as well. So that's kind of me in a gist, and there's definitely more on all this to be coming.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, you know what? I just learned something new about you tonight. A neuroscientist? I never knew that. Oh my gosh. So, tell me, like, what was it about that you decided to go into that field?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to be very transparent. I don't yet have like I am a legit neuroscience. I'm studying neuroscience. I've been studying neuroscience.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'll have the degree eventually,
Okay.
but we're working on it. And what really inspired me is I am both a woo entrepreneur and a how does this work? How can we measure it? What's predictable? What's repeatable?
Mhm.
And I truly believe that you cannot just do energetics. I think it's really important to understand like how humans work, how the nervous system works,
Mhm.
how our eyes function all the way down to we breathe, because a lot of our business success, emotional regulation all comes down to our nervous
Okay.
system. So I was like,
All
I
right,
have to
guys.
learn more
So
about.
while we're waiting for everything to reset, um, I want you to definitely like show up in the comments. Hey, Troy, how are you? Okay, we're back. All right, perfect. Don't know what just happened, but hey, we're all good. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I didn't even realize I paused. Where did I cut off at?
You had just started about, explaining about wanting to know how like your nervous system operates and how your eyes go and everything. That's where you stopped it right there.
Okay. So shortly after I was done,
Yeah.
we didn't miss much. But
Okay.
essentially, what inspired me is to understand like the core reason and driving behind why people do what they do, how they think what they think, and how can we automate the behaviors that we want to have, and how can we easily let go of the behaviors, patterns, or triggers that are no longer serving us. Because a lot of us understand that personal development is a direct reflection of our business success or our life or our happiness.
Mhm.
However, a lot of people get stuck in the understanding how to change it. So they get caught in trying all these different modalities, all these different rituals, and things can be very, very simple and quick when you
Mhm.
understand how things get wired in the first place and how things can change. So I was
Mhm.
like, this is, and in addition to like the energetics, because that's very, very important as well. I was like, neuroscience is a must if you want
Yeah.
to understand those things.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and it's so amazing because the way we process, it's like I always like to look at it where we're always talking about AI right now, right? The computers and everything, but how a computer system process data all the time. Our brain is nothing different from that. It's just we're a physical form of it when that's artificial. But when we think about the power of our thoughts, our brain waves, our nervous system, everything that just it always firing off and on, there's so much magnificent part of who we are. And in listening to you talk, I'm thinking about this book that I love. Have you ever heard of Switch on Your Brain? I can't think of the author's name. Oh, I'll send it to you in the chat. But it talks about all of that, how you are understanding how you process your thoughts, how these your thoughts become things, the energy behind it and everything. So I don't know. I'm just kind of excited to hear that part about it because
Absolutely.
it does
Yeah.
make a difference. So when we get into the whole factor of, how we are wired, I know you touched on that just now, and how big of a part does it really play on business owners and how we are reflective in our business about being hardwired and how we need to adjust some things?
Absolutely. So this is a great question, and you'll hear all different like statistics about it. So if you want to just take the general ranges,
Mhm.
roughly 90% of the way that we operate is on automation. So like
Mhm.
all day long, you are consciously like thinking like, okay, I'm making the broccoli, or I'm typing this content, or I'm making this sales call. But there's a lot of background stuff that goes into that, not just in your action wise, in your thinking wise, but the information that is available to you. And by information that I mean available to you, I mean essentially all of the pixels in the universe, because how we can kind of think of how our programming interacts with not just like our behaviors and thought patterns, because I'm sure a lot of your viewers are like very familiar that your programming like reflects in your thoughts and feelings,
Mm-hmm.
which of course we can go more into. But I think one thing that a lot of people also don't realize, and one topic that if we want to open this up, is the RAS,
Mm-hmm.
because the information that's available to us, aka what we're picking up with our eyes, our nose, our ears, basically our whole environmental experience,
Right.
has to do with our programming as well, to a degree. Obviously, if something is like alert in nature, it's not gonna, you're going to snap into the state to address that. But for the most part, going back to that roughly 90% principle, it either leaves information out or continues to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And a statistic that maybe a lot of people are familiar with, maybe not, however, I think is very important to repeat no matter how familiar with it, is to know that in every single second, we are picking up over multi-millions of pixels of information. And again, that's like what we're seeing with our eyes, like all of our sensory.
Yeah.
And we're only consciously picking up to 200. Like most people are not even doing that much. So like 200 is a drop in the bucket number compared to like millions. And so in every single second, like we're processing this, and we are real life blind to people's, places, things, information, like energetic information that comes through. That's why sometimes people feel like they can channel better than others. And so, and a simple way to think about it is your programming doesn't just shape your thoughts and feelings, it shapes the information and the environment that you see, feel, bring, call in, that type of thing. Does that make sense, Sasha?
Yeah, it definitely does. And then when you're thinking about the conscious level of it, then there's a subconscious. So it actually takes us deeper to all the background work that's happening, that's continuously flowing. We're thinking in our conscious state, but then that subconscious state of everything is just always going. That's the things that kind of sits and it attaches itself to you a lot faster, and it creates more of those cycles and patterns and even habits. And so, just to kind of back up a little bit, because I know you mentioned about, is it RAS?
Or reticular activating system. That's the full
Okay.
word. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And just kind of explain what that is for people who may not really know about the term.
So essentially what you can think about, I'll use like analogies. So it's kind of like your China wall, like what your information, like since we're picking up all this information and only like it's all coming in, but we're only kind of like picking up some of it with our conscious mind. That wall is a decipher of, okay, what's kind of going to come through here? And also what are we going to allow to see? So like kind of like an algorithm is very similar to, like computer wise, is similar to how a human reacts with our RAS. Like the more we talk about something, the more we're going to see of it, or the more we think about something. Or right now, like Tony Robbins is so famous for being like, okay, see blue, 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 blue. Now look for brown. And it's like hard for people. Like he does that a lot because it's a brief example of how, like, when you're focused on something, there could be things there, but it becomes challenging or not readily available because it with so much information, there has to be, okay, what's the most important here? What can we reveal to our human?
Yeah. When you was talking about that, I just thought about the example of, when you get a car, you get a certain car of a certain color, you never see it on the road until you have your car. And then all of a sudden you start seeing all these cars, the same color, the same year, the same model, everything. So I just thought about that when you was making that, when you was just discussing that part. And it's like, and it's so true. You don't really pay attention to anything until it's right in front of you, until it's an active part of your life in that movement. So this is really good. I didn't know you was like so, I've witnessed you on a surface level, but this is very, very deep and very good. So good conversation. So let's talk about the BLIVE movement. You have this wonderful, amazing group of so many different people, so many different backgrounds that just come together, and you have definitely invited me into the space, and I've been fortunate enough to share with the group and everything. But let's talk about, how did you get started with the actually, what does it even, the name mean, Be Live, and how you got started with the movement?
So the name is a little complex. I actually haven't came up, like I've tried to come up with like a straight definition a few different times. But it came through like in a channel, and I'm realizing like the more things I learn spiritually, the more it makes sense, because the whole concept is about how first we internally are operating in a state of harmony, so in touch both like on a human level, like emotional regulation, stuff like that, but then like on a spiritual level too, like you feel like you're in alignment with what you were created for, or you're just happy, or you feel in touch with like your source, whatever that may be for you. So there's that aspect to it, and then there's the overall theory that when you're in harmony, so can the rest of the movement, like of
Yeah.
you, Sasha, me, Elizabeth, every single person, the water that flows through this cup, like everything in the universe is essentially one.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are in wholeness, harmony, you are operating in flow, you are in a state where you are totally fulfilled, you are totally live.
Yeah.
So that's like essentially like as the concept grew, it's like, okay, that's why the channel name Be Live came through. But the mission really is about more of a spiritual manner. However, because the types of people, like I'm not the one who's like, I'm going to help change the world and help every single soul. Like, for one, that I can't do that all by myself. I do my coaching and I can help who I can help. And that's why, in order to help the overall mission of the Be Live movement, is to bring in other heart-centered entrepreneurs like Sasha, like the people watching here, that have spiritual callings, drives to do something great in the planet. And it doesn't have to be it's spiritually or internally. It could merely be like business, sales, strategy, events. Like Sasha put on a really, really great event, which you guys can catch the replay for in the Be Live movement. It was called How to Scale Your Business Using Events and Partnerships, I think is what it's called.
Yes.
So like that right there creates so much harmony in the world, because the more heart-centered entrepreneurs who are scaling their business, that are collaborating with events and stuff, the more people we help and we live in harmony. So because living in harmony also isn't just about the internal thing, it's about people getting the proper nutrition, living conditions, pollution being cleaned up. So that's how the concept formed, and then that's why the type of people we attract in and the things we do are very businessy, lots of events. It's the whole movement is designed to, yes, help people internally, but to also help them in their business thrive.
Yeah. And speaking of events, because you had a wonderful, like, I don't know, I think you're probably like the first person to have had a 6-week summit full of so many amazing speakers. It was called Scale to the Moon Summit. And I mean, you just did it. I mean, you did your thing with making sure that we were all together, all lined up, all, everything from the press and all of that, and when you talk about harmony, and just a lot of that harmony comes from the leadership as well. When you pull it in and you're connected with like-minded, like-hearted people, like spirit people, or whatever background you are in, when you are centered in that way, and you start to connect with folks, and when you could do that, like you said, that world of harmony comes forth, and it's the synergy as well that comes through and helps to make the impact that we can all make. And it's just like, I know it's one person, she talks about, I think it was a question that came up in an event one time, and somebody was like, well, how do you find the balance? I think it was Coach B, she's been on our show before, and she said she doesn't really look at balance, because when she think of the balance, she think of a scale. You can either be up or down. It's all about the harmony and being harmonious within your life. If you're married, if you have a family, if you have a business, and so forth, when you have that flow, it's easy to navigate and to maneuver through life and everything that you have. And so, and for you, I know when we talk about flowing, and that's like your expertise, your flow state, is it flow state coach or flow state, define that a little bit more of what that part that you do.
Yes, thank you for asking for the definition because, like many people here, we all probably have like an understanding of what flow state is, but we all have like a slightly different definition of it. So, when I speak about flow state, I speak about it in like a couple of different manners. Number one, like, like that peak performance state where you're just naturally able to focus, the creative ideas are coming through, you're able to like sit down and crank out content, and it didn't feel like you had to like force anything or like push through. So like there's flow state from a performance level.
Yeah.
That's very easy if you study like sport performance, like anyone who is in that. A lot of athletes study, like in order to become a flow state coach, that was one of the things I like opted in for, was like to study how top athletes use things like hypnosis to keep them in that, because it's actually the same reason why you never have to like focus to be in peak performance to pump the blood through your veins. So that's one example. Another example of flow state is really being able to remain like grounded in trust, or just like neutralized, and or leverage any sort of negativity challenge, because it's not all about just being like totally zen and happy and like, we are humans. We are we're gonna feel emotions. Certain things are supposed to make us mad so that we get disgusted by them and set a standard and never do it again. Like a part of creation is that negative aspect, because if we just loved everything, there'd be like an abundance of everything, and that'd be crazy. So flow state is also about being able to remain like centered emotionally. And then it's also from a spiritual level, like being able to like ride the waves, yes, emotionally. And then also spiritually, because flow state is also like when you are neutralized, when you're grounded, when you are actually feeling in flow, because you may find that you're doing all the right things, but if it's not really like where your intuition is leading you, you may start to feel a little chaotic, and you're like, what's going on? Like, I'm doing all the right things, I'm showing up, I'm really, doing the other parts of flow, like keeping a good mindset, the performance, but like the part that's missing is like following that intuitive guidance or those spiritual nudges or ideas, downloads. So when I speak about flow state, it's kind of like an encompass of all, essentially operating from harmony, wholeness, that type of thing. Does that?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I can say that it's been so many times when you talk about the whole, following, people would say your gut, your intuition, or even discernment, following that nudge means a lot, because it's like, for me, it's God. So it's like God saying, you have to do this, you must go this way. For most people, it's like, okay, yes, the intuition, the gut, go this way, do this. And it's like so many different examples I know people can attest to. It's like, oh, I was gonna go to the store, and I just felt the nudge not to go, but just so happens there was something that happened and it kept them from it. Or, even with business or making these decisions, it's like sometimes we can, feel like we're in tune with ourselves, in harmony and flowing. But then it's that one thing when we get to a point where we want to make this big decision, and we kind of like scale back from it. And then at the same time, you feel that nudge saying, no, do it, do it, do it. But if you listen, you see all the greatness that was on the other side of you just saying yes to it, right? So it's like, I've been there so many times, I can attest to it. And I was going to say, like, a few years ago, I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to start making decisions based on that part of my life, because it doesn't or never have steered me wrong. When we listen, and there's a lot of times people say, oh yes, the bad things, but even the good things, like the job you were really supposed to apply for, or the business that you should have started at the time you could have started it. So many different things that keeps you on that path of purpose, that we all have been created for, and we've been sent to this earth to do something of some magnitude in our lives and those that we touch. And so, I think for me, it's like, that's why I'm showing up now. I'm kind of late, but I'm still on time, right? And so, and that was my thing, and so a lot of that has to come out of you coming out your comfort zone and feeling one within yourself and understanding and really being self-aware, and like you're saying, just flowing in that harmonious place within you. So I really loved how you just broke that down and everything. And so let me ask you this. So what's next for you, Elizabeth?
So, what is next is multiple things, but to break it down to something very simple is I am writing two different books right now. One is called Keys to the Flow. It's about the 5 key areas that as long as you master or learn how to kind of like adjust whenever you get knocked out of flow, you'll be able to maintain and tap in whenever need be, and
Mhm.
just kind of learn to live from that place. And then the second one is called Gift of Duality, and it's all about, I haven't came up with a subtitle yet, but we're writing the thing, and it's all about how to leverage and basically stay in the flow whenever you are facing challenges, negativity, that sort of thing, and seeing the purpose in it. So it's going to be probably more of a workbook addition to go with that one.
Yeah.
And then also we are building a BLive event center. So
Okay.
yes.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so there's a lot to come with that.
Yeah.
But soon we will have a BLive Palace as well for everyone to come physically.
Okay. Wow. Be Live Palace. I love that. I love that. And where is this Be Live Palace going to be?
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida. Okay. So that's only a 2-hour flight. I'll be there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We'll fly you in. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. But I love those titles of your books. I love the concepts, especially the other one when you talked about duality and facing challenges because we can be pulled back and forth. Like you could be in a place of thinking the right way, having the positive thoughts, having, just going through life effortlessly until something happens and it pulls you out of yourself. It pulls you out of your norm, out of your characteristics, what you're known for, and then you're dealing with something in a whole different manner that you may have never even seen yourself deal with before. So that is so that's I can't wait. I can't wait till you get those books out. That's really good. But Liz, I always want to say Liz. Do you ever go by Liz at all? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, call me Liz.
Okay. It's been so many times I'm messaging you. I'll be like, hey, Liz. I want to say, oh, no, but it's Elizabeth. Let me be formal.
It's okay. I'm so
Okay.
chill. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. But it's been such a pleasure having you here. Let me put your information up here on the screen so everyone can know. Definitely, you guys follow Elizabeth in her Be Live group. Definitely, it's a join it. It is a breath of fresh air. You have so many different people. It's a very good space. It's a safe space, I can say. And being connected with different people who are heart centered and they're all about one thing. And that's about, sharing the love, sharing the grace, being just being very friendly and inviting. And so that's what you're definitely that's what I found. I don't know about anybody else. That's what I found. So and you've been this person ever since we've connected. I don't even know how we found each other, to be honest with you. I can't remember,
I
but
don't
it
remember
was
either.
something. But I'm thankful for the connection. I'm thankful to be connected to you, Liz. So, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this conversation tonight. So, Elizabeth, if there's anything that you want to leave with the people, what would it be?
Um, I would like to, I used to say something different, but one of the things I really want to nail home is to learn to trust yourself. Like you can trust yourself. The biggest thing that I see when people are having challenges in their life is there's a lack of trust, and it's only because of the emotions. So learn to neutralize yourself, get down regulated, and then make those executive decisions from a place of trust, because you just got to get familiar and like what that actually feels like for you specifically.
Yeah, that's good. Trust yourself. That is amazing right there. Yeah, and do it daily. Daily, every day is something different. So definitely. So I thank you so much for all of what you've shared with us tonight. And I hope everybody that you really enjoyed our time with Elizabeth and be with us again next week. I have another amazing guest that's going to be coming. And just remember to everything that you do, command your day and be great. And I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.